This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is brought to you by Audible. If you're listening to this podcast right now, then I'm going to assume that you would also enjoy listening to audiobooks. Whether you're interested in business, history, comedy, science fiction, or romance, Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. We want you to try out Audible for free, so if you head to our link, you'll get a 30-day free trial and a free book. So go to audibletrial.com/localhustlerspodcast to redeem your trial today. Again, that's Audible, AUDIBLE, trial.com/localhustlerspodcast.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, East Valley Locals. Get connected with small businesses near you and dive deep into their stories, mindset, and motives. Entrepreneurs everywhere. Get ready to be inspired by business owners, entrepreneurs, and hustlers that you can relate to and learn from. And now, your hosts, Dallin Huso and Ridge Waldberg.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Local Hustlers podcast. We're a little over a month into the new year, so everyone's got their New Year's goals they're working on. A lot of those usually have to do with fitness, so we're super excited that we're here with Kara Roberts today talking about her business, Weight Loss Boutique.
Yes. Hi.
How's it going? How's it going today?
Good. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to a new year. I know everybody's tired of the old year.
Yeah, 2020 is in the rearview mirror, Kara.
Exactly. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been some changes already this year, which is interesting. But you know, you keep moving and figuring out what this year looks like and all that fun stuff. So I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Well, why don't you take a couple of minutes before we get into the Weight Loss Boutique? Tell us a bit about your life.
So about me, it's always hard to talk about yourself. But I went through most of my adult life as a single mom. So for me, it was, I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I wanted to make sure that I had time with my kids. So I've had some fun trial and error. I think I've started 50 million different types of businesses. So it's fun to be on the different side of things going. I know I had told you guys about how, for me, I feel like I was an inventor very young. So I remember skating and I was running down the street, and I ran track most of my life. So for me, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if like you could press a button and skates pop out of your shoes? And so for me, I was like, dang, I totally invented Heelys. But I didn't have a patent at 8, or I think I was like 8 or 12. So, but definitely I've been excited. Even in the gym industry, stuff that they're using, it was things that I thought about when I was like 15 years old. Like now they have the cinema rooms and all that stuff. I had a whole gym planned around all of that stuff. Wow. So it's like pretty cool to see that. I don't know if I have forward thinking.
Yeah, you got a visionary mind.
It would have been cooler if you got the patent for it.
Right?
All the money from
Darn it. Well, now it's like young kids are definitely starting to get patents and things like that they're doing. So that's pretty cool. So for me, it's been a lot of, you know, wanting to start a business. I've done real estate. I've sold flooring. I've sold cell phones. I sold education. It's everything sells.
Wow.
But basically trying to figure out where I fit in and what it was. And that's how I got to weight loss. Because for me, I had always done training just because I was an athlete before. So you've done coaching, training, and that type of thing. I started my own business in Texas, and then I moved out here to actually work at one of the local hospitals in bariatrics. And so for me, getting over there, I saw how there wasn't any follow-up care for those patients, and basically they were left to deal with losing weight and the changes that happen. I got a degree in counseling, so that was big, and certifications in life coaching and things like that, which has helped me to kind of help them bring a full circle, because you can't just lose weight. It's kind of mental too. So so that's about me. I have 3 kids that I've had. From 19 is my oldest to 2.5 is my youngest, and I have a daughter that's 11, and then my husband has 4 daughters. So we have 6 girls and 1 boy.
Full household.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So yeah, and that's pretty much it. I work a lot because I'm always thinking of new things, and then I have my kids at home and my husband, so I work at home a lot. So definitely finding a good balance and all that good fun stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you're an athlete, and you said that you ran track. Any other sports that you did?
I tried volleyball, but I wasn't really good. I was, and
track
I could
was your
jump.
main
Track
thing?
was it. Track was it. For basketball, they wanted me to just stand at the goal and rebound because I could jump really high. That's what I ran track for. I was a triple jumper, long jumper, and a sprinter. So they were like, just stand there, just get the ball. But I would close my eyes and kind of shade away, so I didn't do really well. For volleyball, I was good at the net. I could jump over, block things, but scared of the ball when it came back over at me, so it didn't work out too well. But track was easy. So.
Yeah. Well, so I'm assuming you're pretty busy with a family business you're running. You mentioned you've tried out so many different businesses in the past. Is this the only business you're doing right now, or do you have a couple other things that you're also doing right now? Yeah,
so I have Weight Loss Boutique, and then I also have an in-home daycare out of my home, so I do that. We did buy a salon, which has been really hard with COVID. So we have that also, and I'm trying to start a life coaching business called the Goal Council to help people. So I want to start doing some classes for young kids because I think it's about 16, I would say even maybe 14-year-olds to about 22-year-olds that are having a hard time with dealing with all these changes that have happened for them. So setting goals and stuff like that. So I totally want to get a free class for them called the Goal Getters. Nice. So that's something that I'm definitely working on because I want to give back and also really help people set those goals for themselves and see what they want to do with their life and maybe help them get past some of the obstacles I've had to go through.
Yeah. You mentioned that you love the idea of being an entrepreneur so that you can have more time with your kids and be at home with your kids. It's one of the paradox of entrepreneurism is it takes so much time, right?
Exactly.
It does. So how do you balance that with your responsibilities at home and then all these ideas that you have and the different things you have going on in your entrepreneurial world?
I do have help. Having a daycare in your house really helps a lot, especially if you're an entrepreneur. But for me, finding that balance of making sure that even though I'm going to do work, it's a lot of late nights for me because I have to take time to spend with kids and do that stuff. And then I'm up late working. So then that way they get my full attention, after I'm done with my day. That's kind of why I did the daycare first. A friend of mine, actually, we lived with her in the house and she gave us the opportunity to take over the business and everything when she moved to Iowa. So it was like she was a single mom and I was a single mom. So she wanted to kind of help push me into a great business that'll keep me home when I was pregnant with my son. So I've done the same thing. My best friend moved into the houses, the rooms we rented in our house so she could be home with her kids and kind of put that full circle back there. So really it's just kind of balancing self-care time, which is very important. Yeah. I think a lot of people forget about that. And also your kids and all the fun things that they have to do. Thankfully, my 2.5-year-old, he takes a lot of energy and time, but my 11-year-old, her stuff is pretty okay right now. She hasn't started sports where we have a whole lot of things going on, so that I think will change a little bit. And my husband helps a lot with that type of stuff. So for me, I think the biggest thing for balance is making sure you take time for yourself and take a day off or 2.
Yeah, or 3.
3 is good. And I try to stick for about at least 2 uninterrupted days where I'm not working. And I've had to schedule, like one of my best friends is a massage therapist. So I have a massage every Monday I go to. So, and I make sure she comes to me. So she takes her time off. So we keep ourselves accountable for self-care.
Good.
Well, it sounds like you're really able to whatever you're working on, to be all in on that. You mentioned that at times you're able to give, full attention to your kids. I'm sure when it comes to self-care, you do the same thing. And then work, it sounds like you have to be all in if you want to keep that going as well. How do you, I guess, shut off certain parts of your brain or your mind and make sure that you're focusing only on what you're doing at the time and not have a million things running through your head at the same time?
It's really hard because I don't know, I always say I have adult ADD, right? Where you're like, oh, squirrel. No. But for me, it's just really, I have to make a list and kind of prioritize what I'm doing. Because I am very much terrible at trying to do too many things at once. And I've seen that has a negative effect on the businesses that I have. So it's been recent that I've been really working on, okay, this is going to be my focus. Mm-hmm. This is what we're going to do. But I do have a tendency to take on too much. Yeah. And I think everybody as an entrepreneur, you do. If you're like, dang, okay, this is going to be great. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to do this.
You want to say yes to
everything, you're like,
right?
yeah, I can totally do it. Or you have clients and you're like, oh, I know that I'm supposed to be off, but you know what I'll do? I'll do that. It's okay. And you do that too much and then you're totally tired. And so I've learned that the hard way by kind of having a crash and burn where it's like, I'm not doing anything for like 4 days and I slept a lot. Yeah. Thankfully, my son was able to sleep with me, but it worked out. That's kind of what happened. So I always recommend, like, it's hard, but learn from people who've learned the hard way that really you have to focus on one thing. And once you get it up and going and it's where it needs to be, then add something else. And I'm learning that for myself too right now.
Yeah. I want to point something out that you shared. So most entrepreneurs have incredible minds that can dream of things, visionary, right? And just from the few minutes we spent together, you obviously have that kind of a mind that can just see things and create it. What creates a lot of frustration for people with this incredible gift is when it actually doesn't come to play because you got all these thoughts going through your head and such. And you just shared a helpful hint that hopefully will help others that might be going through some similar struggles, and that is that you made a list. Mm-hmm. So the key to capture and channel that incredible gift is to be intentional.
Right.
And making a list of, okay, what are the next steps in order to create this vision that I have is the power behind that vision. Otherwise, it will never come to pass. Mm-hmm. And you'll be distracted by so many things that you won't be able to actually create what your mind has given you as a gift, and that's that vision. So just want to point that out to our listeners. By creating an intentional list of what are the next steps that I need to do, those are the powerful things that will make your vision become a reality.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. And has this, the process of, like you said, just, focusing on one thing at a time, and then once that, starts to sustain itself, then focusing on something else, is that something that you've had to learn over time?
And it's recent. I mean, I actually think like 2020 was good for that for me because I was doing well in one business and I was like, great, I'll buy a new one in the middle of a pandemic. It's a great time. Right. And it was a great time to buy. So it was a good deal that we got on the business, but having to spread yourself between 3 businesses, and the other business I had was in Mesa, so it wasn't even close to my other businesses. My other 2 businesses are 7 minutes apart. So I could be at both if need be because I can run back and forth. And one's in my home, so I'm there most part of the day, and then I'm at the other one part of the day, so I'm not gone too much. But having that other one there was pretty tough because I couldn't spend as much time. My husband did most of that business, but then it missed the part of me that we needed to kind of push things through. So it made us have to like kind of say, okay, well, what's the most important thing? And then it's like, okay, we might not be able to do that other business. And then I realized also too, like working on some of my certifications that I was doing. And I was like, okay, you got to look at yourself. I had a meeting with like a spiritual advisor, and she told me, she was like, okay, it's showing me like, look at them in the mirror. And I was like, okay. So I have to do what I'm telling people to do. Right. And that was kind of a big thing for me. And now I'm like, okay, so having focus on one thing actually makes you feel a lot less stressed.
Yeah.
So when you actually go there, it's hard to make that decision because I fought it. And even my business partner was like, hey, we might need to make some changes. And I was like, no, we can do this. Like, it's going to be great. Like, we don't need to stop. But now that I've kind of taken that step back and realized, okay, where does my focus really need to be, and make that list and set the intentions of where I want to go. I know if I get everything to where I need it to go, adding that third business is possible. But we want to make sure we add it at the right time. So then that way everything's growing. I'm not stressed. We're not throwing money everywhere and losing money in places that we shouldn't, especially if you had the time to put into it.
Yeah. No, that's great what you said, because it sounds like it was probably a good opportunity. It's hard to say no to good opportunities as an entrepreneur.
Right.
You want to say yes to anything that comes along. And so,
Yes.
like you said, it might not be a bad thing to do, but it's just all about the timing and making sure that you take a step back, look at where you are and everything else, and make sure that you're doing things at the right time.
Right, definitely.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we start talking about the weight loss boutique? I'm really curious to hear more about it. First off, tell us kind of how it got started, where the idea came from.
Okay, so I managed some weight loss centers in Texas for a while, and I kind of saw how weight loss went. I have my idea of weight loss because not everybody wants to be 100 pounds, right? There are people who are like, I'm okay. If I'm a size 14, that's where I want to be. And then I have some people who are like, I'm a size 2. I need to be a size 0. So I've had everybody on the spectrum of where they need to go. So for me, I've worked and seen just the regular ways of that things go. But over the years, I've started seeing kind of what I can add to my own personal business, and no business out there kind of did what I did. So for me, it's like I have those clients who are on plan and they're losing weight and they're doing what they have to do. And then I have those clients that we have to sit and just say, okay, what did you do this week? And they're like,
Had ice cream, had chips.
Right. And it's
donuts.
like, okay, well, why did you have those? And we talk about that. And then next week, all they're going to give me is we did ice cream, donuts, and chips. But why don't we just not do donuts? Can we do that? And they're like, okay. And for them, that works. And then we get them into the healthy lifestyle as slowly as they need to. Or those who are like, look, I'm ready. I want to lose weight now. Show me how to get this off fast. And I'm going to do it. So we have everything from where we sit down, do the nutrition counseling. I have a machine. You sit on it. I weigh you, and it kind of tells me how much your arm weighs, how much your leg weighs, how much fat, how much muscle you have. So for those people who are really big into fitness, it's good for them to kind of see how much fat do they have.
Yeah.
If they're working out, and they actually have symmetry in their body, because if their arm has way more muscle than the right arm does than their left, then they're training and they can have injury. So from anything to athletes who need to kind of see if their training is good, we can put them on that machine and kind of see how that goes, and we get a printout, and then their coaches can kind of see if they're training correctly. To those people who have hundreds of pounds to lose, and we're doing the customized meal plans, as well as I have an infrared wrap. So that can be for anybody. You lay in it. It heats up to 130 degrees. You sweat. So you detoxify, it pulls out toxins, fat. It helps rejuvenate skin cells, pain relief for those who have just back pain and stuff. So it's not all just weight loss. And then, so it's kind of like being in a sauna without being in a sauna. You watch Netflix for an hour and you sit in there and you just sweat, and you come out and you feel really good because it kind of gets all that gross stuff moving and out. So it's exciting to see people, and they got this much sweat in the bottom of their little sweatsuit that I give them. And then we also have cryo. So we do cryo slimming and toning treatment. So if you've been working out and you have that little pocket of fat that just won't go anywhere, we can freeze it off, and we freeze it and you pee it out, so nothing hurts. So it's a really good thing.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Yeah.
So the technology is basically it freezes all the fat cells so they die, and then you just get through. It goes out through your lymphatic drainage like normal. So we're able to kill the fat cells, non-invasive. It doesn't hurt. It's just a cold wand, and it'll heat up and get really cold, and then it freezes those fat cells, and it goes out the body through regular lymphatic drainage. So we usually will put you in the fit wrap after, so that helps you get rid of even more inches and more fat cells, and it helps smooth cellulite. So we do a different treatment with the toning treatment, and that is going to help smooth out any kind of cellulite and tighten the skin in areas. So for people who have lost a lot of weight and they want to tone and tighten skin, then we have a different treatment that we do that also uses the cold therapy, but it helps the body bring back that collagen to those areas and the skin start to tighten.
What kind of results have you had with the cryotherapy in terms of, is it a supplement to a normal weight loss plan that just helps spot check a few, like you mentioned, different spots? What kind of results have you had with it?
So different people, depending on what they're looking for. I have those who've hit their weight loss goal and they just want to get those spots that they can't get with regular exercise. They've been working out. They're like, oh man, like I still have this stupid little piece here on my arm that will not go away, and we can just freeze that off. To those that are on my weight loss program, and we're doing it as they're losing to kind of help tighten and lose fat in those areas. So I have where we can freeze off up to 1 inch or 2 in one treatment. So that's kind of for tummy area. A lot of people like that because losing a couple of inches in 45 minutes is a great thing. And so, so people are using it kind of in tandem. If they're going to eat correctly and do what they have to do, it's fine. You're not going to gain it back. It'll stay off. Like it's completely long lasting. But if you do go out and add new fat cells, they can definitely come back. It's the same with any kind of plastic surgery that you do. If you had liposuction in your mommy makeover, you look great, and then you go out and continue to eat bad and do not exercise, then all those fat cells can come back, and they're new fat cells, not the same ones that you had before, because we did get rid of those. We were able to do a Brazilian butt lift, which is pretty cool too. So it kind of tones the backs of the legs and gets rid of the fat band under the butt to kind of make the butt look a little bit more pronounced. So a lot of ladies do like that because it's non-invasive. If you're doing your squats and we do that, we're going to get everything looking nice for you.
And the success rate?
Success rate for most of my clients is very
on the cryotherapy?
good. Yeah, everybody's gotten their success of what they do. It depends on the treatments. You might have a few that need more treatments than others. I've had some, their body takes really well to it, so they might need just 1 or 2 treatments, and then they're kind of where they want to go. The majority of people, it's kind of addicting, like tattoos, right? You won't get one place, and then you're like, hey, now I need back here. And it's like, okay. And then we'll just kind of move over. So we do different packages. So if you bought like a 5-pack or a 10-pack, then we can say if you are 3-pack, you're like, I'm good where on my stomach, but now I want to move to my back or my legs or wherever. We can switch areas.
Super interesting. Well, I think you answered the question. I was going to ask later on, what makes you guys kind of stand out, because there's so many different, weight loss programs out there.
Yes.
Is that something, because I'm not super familiar with all the programs, is that something that's pretty common that people do with the cryotherapy and the infrared treatment, or is that pretty unique that you guys offer all of that?
Yeah, that's kind of unique to what we do. So we kind of can customize it. Yeah. So if you're in and you have 100 pounds to lose, I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to do this cryotherapy and you're going to come out, looking, like this. It's like, no, let's start with your weight loss plan. Okay. We'll get that going, get you to a place where you feel comfortable. Or, we can do, a couple months like that, and then we'll add the cryo to it, or keep it with the fit wrap, or the infrared wrap is what, where you're doing that every week, and that's helping you kind of lose inches. Because with that, you can lose up to 7 inches total body overall in one session. And that'll stay off. But I always say you got to continue eating well and not just go and get cookies because So Delicious is in our. There's salad and go on one side and So Delicious to the left. It's the decision that you made.
Of course. Now you also offer nutrition counseling.
I do,
and I went on your website, and it's very affordable.
Yes,
the rates that you offer are very affordable. Walk us through what like a 30-minute session would sound like in these sessions.
So for a session, what I like to do is pretty much see what your goal is. We put you on the scale, so that way we can look at what are we dealing with, where are we at, how much fat do we have to lose, what's your goal, and where do you want to be. My scale is always going to tell me how much fat they feel you should lose, and that doesn't have to be your weight loss goal. The majority of the time, I want you to focus on where is it that you're going to feel comfortable. This fat loss is going to put you in a healthy category, but that doesn't mean you can't gain muscle or anything like that, which is going to, if you put 50 pounds of fat you need to lose, but you gain 50 pounds of muscle, which would be really hard, right? But But if you did that, then it would change. Your weight would stay the same, but your body composition is different and you're more healthy because you have more muscle and less fat. So that's what we focus on, is the fat loss and where it needs to be. Now, everybody's different. I have some people that outside things are affecting how they're losing weight. If you are having stress, you're going through divorce, your kids are going through something stressful or whatever that looks like, we might have to talk about that a little bit too. So that's where my counseling degree comes in, and we might actually have a full-on counseling session because you started doing this, something happened, you freaked out, and you ate a tub of ice cream. Okay, well, let's talk about that and actually get to it. And I think that kind of sets us apart too, because I don't think that you're going to get that anywhere, because they're going to kind of be like, oh, okay, you were off your diet. Well, you need to get back on it. And this is what you need to do, and have a good day. And that was something that I remember having to do for people, and it was more of a numbers thing versus let's take the time we need to figure out how to get you back on track and feeling better about whatever's going on, and finding some good, things to put in your little box of, I guess, tidbits and, I can't think of the word right now, toolbox. Yeah. There we go. Have a little toolbox of what to do when you're having stressful moments. And I think that's something you're only going to get in a counseling session. Even though right now I can't call myself a counselor till I take my test, but I am a life coach. So I'm waiting on testing, and then I'll be a licensed professional counselor. So they're actually getting a real counseling session when they come in, and not just, I know what I'm talking about, you should do this, and this is how it goes. Right. It's more so, let's find out what's going on with you, and making it more tailored to the person.
I really love that element of your business. As Dallin mentioned, there are thousands of weight loss plans out there. Like, just do a Google search, lose weight, and you'll be blown away. Mm-hmm. And I've never met a person that doesn't know what to do. Like, everybody knows, well, I need to eat better and I need to exercise more. Exactly. Right? Like, it's not for a lack of knowledge that we don't have our wellness goals, right? No. We all know what we need to do. It's the motivation to be in action. And one of the missing elements in the weight loss industry is this emotional attachment that people have to food. Right. Right? Mm-hmm. That people use food to medicate. Exactly. Right? And that's what what I'm hearing, in addition to the cryotherapy and the infrared things that set you apart. Another element that I'm hearing that sets you apart is your counseling background and your ability to address some of those emotional attachments that people have to food that get into the way of the logical, I know I need to do this, right? And I've set goals to do it and I didn't do it. Just to have that ability to help dig deeper and help them deal with some of those things and gain awareness and consciousness of what's driving some of those behavioral patterns, and then to be able to give them the tools to make those changes. Right. And that's basically my goal. And I've seen that missing so much, and I've had so many people that I've sat with and I've taken time, and working more so in a corporate or even a hospital setting, basically numbers is where it's at, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, you don't have an hour to spend with this person to discuss
why they're crying about, whatever is going on. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what they need. And that's my job, is to follow up with them. I was a follow-up specialist. So I'm following up with them and they're not happy. So we need to fix that. And they're like, yeah, just call the people, send a letter. And I would try to write handwritten letter. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I can't, this is not what I think this person needs. And, I even have a client too. And right now we're trying to figure out what's going on. She has a doctor that she goes to. She's doing more of a naturopathic way, but we've been actually going deeper to find out what's the root cause of all this stuff going on. And because I do have a certification in functional nutrition, I did work with some doctors where I kind of helped with finding supplements that work to heal versus pharmaceuticals, so more of a nutraceutical. So I do have a supplement store where I can find things that are okay, you have an A1C issue, let's get you on a protein that helps balance your blood sugar, and they can order those from me too. So I can get them on things that are actually helping to heal their body and to get rid of medications and stuff like that. Of course, I can't guarantee everybody's going to be the same, but I will guarantee that I'm going to do my best to find out and send you to your doctor and say, ask for this test, ask for this test, ask for this test. Let's see what it says. And then that way we can get them the right supplements that are going to go for where they're at.
Do you spend more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then call Flamingo Pools today. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools will take care of you. Honest, reliable, and innovative. Just a few of the many good things Flamingo Pools customers have to say about them. Ask them about their mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-6013. Mention this podcast and you'll get your first month of maintenance completely free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013.
How often are you following up with people or keeping in contact, after you have this initial coaching session with them and talking to them? At what point do then you talk again and see, how they've done? Is it on a weekly basis? Weekly basis.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So they come in, we weigh, we see what the scale says. And depending on what that says, then that's going to determine what we talk about that day. For some people, they're not ready to hear if it's the wrong way. They're, or they freak out. They did everything they were supposed to do and the scale is up. But because my scale tells me, did you lose fat? Did you gain muscle? They gained 2 pounds of muscle. So they gained 2 pounds, but they lost 4 pounds of fat. Yeah. Be look at that. That's great. You lost 4 pounds of fat. You gained some muscle and you did a really good job. So your body fat percentage is down, even though your scale is up. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I think also people have a hard time too. Cause you dieted and you're like, yeah, I'm doing great. You step on the scale and it says, you didn't lose anything or you gained weight, you kick the scale and you're like, man, give me the cookies. Just gonna eat it. It's over. I'm done. I've done really good and I don't understand why. And that's where we kind of talk through and I can find it. Cause some people don't remember. I know I had a lady and I always tell her story cause she would come and talk to me and say, I did everything. I followed it. And I was like, okay, well tell me what you ate. And she was like, I went to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll go there with you. Okay, you went to Chick-fil-A. What did you have? She's like, well, I got the salad. I was like, okay, so that's even better. You did good. And then she's like, but I got a diet lemonade with ice cream. But it was diet. And I was like, yeah, but that's not on what you're supposed to be eating. And she was like, well, I don't do that every day, just maybe 4 times a week. Okay, so this lets me know you didn't follow it 100% because we had to ask those questions and figure out, where did you go? And that diet lemonade with the ice cream on top of whatever else you cheated with is a consistent thing. So we're able to kind of talk through those things and figure it out and, find where their cheats are that they don't think are cheats, but they are.
Justifications that people make.
Exactly.
How long do you typically stick with your clients? Because depending on how much weight they need to lose, I'm sure it's a different amount of time. But do they get to a certain point and then they're off on their own, or do people like to stick with you and keep that accountability?
I would hope that they'd want to stick throughout. We do it in 10, depending on what's affordable, right? Mm-hmm. We'll start them off with a 10-week plan and we'll see kind of where they are. If they do have a lot more weight to lose, I would definitely say we might need, a year for you to kind of do this, and then we'll figure out how we make that work for them. But I do like to do where we put them in a phase of weight loss where they're losing weight. Then after they've lost their weight and they get to their goal, I want to go to a maintenance phase. How are you going to maintain this weight? What are you going to do? So if they're taking any supplements or things like that, I do have anything from fat burners, which are my magic pill. This lady changed nothing, lost 7 pounds. And it's like, they work, you know what I mean? Those are good things, but I don't want that to be what you're stuck on. Because that also is a big problem that I found is people go, they take all these things, they lose weight, and then they go back to regular life and they're like, I'm getting everything back, and that didn't work for me.
More.
Exactly. And so what I want to do is make sure we get them to a phase where we're kind of tapering off whatever they're doing. They're learning to maintain, excuse me, and then I will kind of follow up with them from time to time to just make sure things are staying off. So we don't want it to be just a come in, let me give you something, give me your money. I want it to be a long-term relationship where we can kind of work through the changes that happen for you throughout your whole weight loss plan time until you feel comfortable to go little bird on your own.
We've talked a lot about the nutrition side of things. When it comes to the exercise, do you have recommended workouts that you have people do, or what do you do when it comes to that?
Yeah, I do have take-home workouts that I can give them to do. I don't have time to go and be in the gym with anybody, right. But for the most part, that is something that I'm thinking about, possibly adding some online workout plans that cool. My husband's a web developer, thankfully, so when I want him to do things he's working on it when he's not busy with other stuff, but he's been busy, so kind of trying to add some of those workout plans that they can do online. We did have where we were doing Saturdays, it was a HIIT training, so we had it was like a little circle that's over by us, so we called it Hit It in the Circle, that everybody could come and do that on Saturdays, but then that was right before the pandemic, so we've kind of had to stray away from that, and we haven't started that back up just yet. But definitely I have recommendations of what I can do. I have one client for her, if I have time, I'll go show you one day we'll go work out together and I can show you what to do and then go from there.
Cool. I'm curious because we talked a bit about, how your background with counseling has kind of helped you connect with these people as well. We talked a bit about, people will be all motivated. They have their plan for the week and then, they cheat. They have their justifications. And I'm sure you can probably relate to that too on an entrepreneurial level, how, as a business owner, you have your plan for the day or for the week and for the month, and we're not always perfect. There's things that we miss. Right. Sometimes through our fault. Sometimes things are out of our hands. But things don't always go as planned as an entrepreneur, and we don't always do what we had in mind by the end of a certain period of time. So can you talk a bit about that, kind of how you have experienced that in your own life? Maybe not with weight loss in particular, but just as a business owner and running different businesses in your life.
Yeah, I think that's something that happens often. Yeah. I'll do that today. I had an idea that I was going to, sit down. I'm bad with paperwork. This is the thing that I procrastinate on. Doesn't matter. I just don't. So I have year-end paperwork I'm supposed to do. I will bring it every day with a plan that I'm going to get this done and this done, and I don't do it because I hate that part. I hate it. So this is what I am working on. This is my vice of working on it, trying to stick to that plan with paperwork, because I found that when I do, life is so much easier. I don't have a pile if I do a little bit every day. So for me, I kind of have to schedule my time that I'm going to do that. Because we work in a space, have you been to Palette Collective? It's like, there's a coffee shop in the front, and then there's 46 different little spaces. All are business owners in there.
Really?
And that's where my space is. So
Okay.
we're kind of, it's like a co-op of everyone. And so I can sit out there and talk to everyone and have social hour instead of paperwork. So I've set up in my room now that I have to go in there and time out. I have to go in time out and do paperwork to make sure that I am on task with that and not sitting out and, socializing more. So it's something that I always have to work on. Like, I think it's never going to change for me. And I think as any entrepreneur, it's never going to change. If it's that one thing about owning a business you hate, if you haven't hired that person to do that part, I'm still looking for mine. It's going to be always where you have to get disciplined in that area. And that's the hardest part for me, is just kind of, it's just paperwork. Thinking about things, doing those fun things that I love to do is easy. But the paperwork and pulling out my computer and actually looking at it and stuff like that, it's hard. So I try to set myself up. I bought some really cute blue light blocker glasses that maybe will motivate me to get my computer out.
We all have our diet lemonades with ice cream
Exactly,
in the business world that we procrastinate,
Exactly.
or that we justify.
Yes.
But yeah, that's all. And like you mentioned, one of the big things with that is maybe finding someone else to do it. If you're procrastinating something for such a long period of time, maybe it might be better for you to take a slight financial loss there, which will probably be short term in the long run,
right?
Because then you have more time to do what you love or what you're really good at, and
exactly.
just hire someone, even if it's part time, to just do something that you just can't stand in the business. Because we don't all love every single aspect of running a business. So if you can afford it, finding someone that can just do that one thing for you can be huge for opening up other avenues in the business.
No, I agree. That is totally on my list of this year. My assistant, I've tried, but like my social media, we have, we started doing some internships with the high school. So with my daycare, I have 3 interns from the high school, and they do their intern hours to kind of help. They were supposed to be CNAs, but with the hospitals and how things are, they're not there, but they have to care for people. So we were able to give them some internship positions. And then we also had some other children, and she ended up becoming our social media. So she does all of our social media posts, and she's in college now. So I'm sad I don't get to see her every day. I saw her for a little bit because she was here for break. Yeah. But she still does our social media, and she started off as an intern from the high school also. So we really try to reach out to give high school students some kind of, that was my problem. When you look for a job, they're like, you need experience. And you're like, oh, but where am I supposed to get that? And it's like, so we want to make sure they have experience. And, with our businesses, that we're providing that for them, that they're getting that chance, and someone takes a chance on them so they have that experience to put and move on, once they get to college and things like that.
Cool.
So
I'm curious, tell us about how you've been able to find new clients. What do you do to get the word out about Weight Loss Boutique?
Okay. Thankfully, we've had a lot of word of mouth because we work in that place with all those businesses. I've definitely made some great relationships with a lot of the other business owners. So I say, especially for any entrepreneur, is making very good relationships with the businesses around your business is tremendously helpful, just because that's been a lot of our growth, and thankfully it's been able to sustain us, which is good. And now we're actually looking towards doing some other things to really get out there and work on our presence for your SEO and all your social media, making sure that all your hashtags are right and all that good fun stuff that's bringing in organic clients. Because we've been open in that location for about a year. So we're starting to see that people were coming up in our searches and things like that are starting to become a little bit more organic with the growth and things like that. So that does take a little bit of time, but it takes a little bit of work. And, pivoting, you get used to something and you find comfort. And then when you notice like there's no money, then you have to kind of say, oh, we need to look for something else. So I was saying, don't get comfortable in your marketing and how you do that, and just kind of be thinking of new things and what you want to do. So you're always a step ahead of, the slow time, so you can maximize where you are. And that's kind of why I looked into something like this, because I thought it would be a different way to kind of get out there where people can actually hear who you are, more so than seeing an ad somewhere and they don't know who that person is behind.
For sure. No, and I think that's one of the awesome things about, any podcast or something like this is you get to kind of know the person more, and the more you know someone and know their story, you feel a closer connection with the business that you're supporting. So it's not just like you're putting money towards nothing. You know who that money's going towards. You know that's going to be going back to help other people in turn in the local community. Exactly.
And that's kind of what we like to do too, is we support local, and we hope that in doing that, the local business knows we're local business, and they support local also. And it's good. Queen Creek is really good at that. Highlighting their businesses in the area and making sure, people know about them and helping how they can. So I'm excited that I own businesses out there. So it feels good to be in that community. And I felt the difference, having a business outside of Queen Creek versus having one inside, because it's like like a bubble. We always say our little Queen Creek bubble, like nothing. It's like its own place. Yeah. So it's kind of neat, to be out like that. So taking advantage of all the things that, your local town or city has to offer as far as small business is very important also.
Tell us a bit more, if you have any experience with just the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, maybe COVID in specific, with just some of the different businesses you've had, because so many entrepreneurship can be seen as just like, oh, it's a great thing, like you run your own schedule, you are in charge of everything, you can make all this money, but obviously it's not all a cakewalk. So talk to us a bit about maybe some of the hard times and kind of the other side of entrepreneurship and what you've seen in your experience.
Yeah, I would say you have to change your mind as an entrepreneur. It's not for the faint of heart, right? I went through a business training and they were saying being an entrepreneur is like putting on a parachute but not knowing if it's going to open, right? Where it's like, it could be broken, I don't know. Here you go, and throw you out, and you kind of got to fall, and that parachute might just open right before you hit the ground, right? And that's kind of how it feels, being an entrepreneur. And I think that's the part that you have to see, that you're going to have those times where it's like, what the heck do I do? I've done everything. Nothing is working. I have no money. I got to pay some bills. What am I going to do? And, you just have to pivot, you know what I mean? Like, find that pivot for yourself and figure out, okay, if this isn't working, COVID happened, we got to stay home, we're closed for 3 weeks or whatever happened. And we went through that. It's like, okay, what kind of online aspects can we be working towards to, add to our business? Or maybe what if we could find a way to sustain completely online? Those are all things that you kind of always have to be thinking about, is how you can change your business as the need changes. When I first created Weight Loss Boutique, we were thinking we were just going to do weight loss plans because that's how I had always done it. And then we added the cryo, we added the infrared. So it's like all of those things started coming, and then I ended up having to evolve. And now, knowing the clients that I'm serving, because I was coming from Texas to Queen Creek, I now see what is important. We thought, oh yeah, everyone's going to want a butt lift, but we have a lot of older ladies who want face. So if I can do a facelift on them, that's what they care about, because this is where they are and they're going to be in your older age range. Yeah. So learning your demographic of your business and learning how to pivot, and you have your idea of what you want it to be, but knowing that it might have to change because the need of your clients is going to be different. So then that way you're not stuck thinking what it's going to be and not ready to make that change and move as it needs to be. So be very open to change and not feel like you failed just because it didn't go how you wrote it down on paper or what your business plan was.
Love that. to add on to that analogy with the parachute, the goal of entrepreneurship is to hit the ground with your parachute come out.
Yes.
And so, like you said, you don't know if it's going to come out or not. You also don't know when it's going to come out. And
Exactly.
so for some people, that's right when you jump, it's going to shoot out. And for some people, you're getting real close to the ground and finally your parachute comes out. And so I think it's important, not to compare yourself to other people along their journey, because everyone's entrepreneurial journey is so different. Some people see immediate success. I think that's a lot more rare than we think.
Right.
And some people don't see it for years down the road. And so it really is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so it's so important, just depending on, who you are, where you are, what your business is. You can't compare yourself to other people and the success that you think they're seeing, because success is so different for every person.
It totally is. Totally. I agree.
If I'm going to double up on that analogy, or triple up now. So it's really critical that when you, prior to getting in the plane, that you pack your chute. And you pack it right? That you've done the fundamental things to give yourself the greatest chance of success.
Right.
That you've been very intentional in making those preparations, so that you're not just jumping blindly, because sometimes people will do that, and when the parachute doesn't come out for obvious reasons, and that ground is unforgiving.
Yeah, I'm totally a blind jumper, and that's, I've learned the hard way, right? Like, so that's kind of the cool thing. I don't know if I like learning the hard way or not, but it's good when you talk to other people and you're like, it's okay, I've done that. You can do this. You can get back up and pull everything back together, and you're going to go and you can do it again. But I do like when I've planned, right? It makes a complete difference. The ones I've done, just kind of jumping out the window and I'm going to do this. I got a real estate license in California, and I've done all kinds of things, but those were my blind jumps, and this was a little bit more with intention and a little bit more planning, and I'm seeing the difference of how this business goes. Right, and I actually made some money. It was a great thing. So it's kind of like, okay, you see that you can be an entrepreneur. You can not have to work for anybody, but you do also need to make sure that it's the right time, but you can't wait too long either. Sure. So it's like those people who are like, I'm going to get this business going. I got 5 years and this business will be able to. I'm like, you kind of got to get started. Like you can't, somebody's going to come out with that idea. And I've learned that,
there's
over the years.
Yeah.
It's like
preparing. And,
you can't be too prepared because there's going to be a change, right? But then it's like, but you do want to also prepare that that you're going to have enough money, because if you don't get the sales that you think you're going to have, because you're like, I'm going to open the doors, they're going to love me, they're coming, they're bringing me my money, I'm going to be great, and then it's like they don't, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? I need to pay my bills or whatever. So it's exciting. So it's like, don't be blind, be prepared, but also don't wait too long. I guess that's what I was saying.
And luckily, it's more of like a video game jump, so you have multiple lives. So if you do hit the ground crash, you can do it again.
Exactly, so do it again.
That is another important thing to emphasize: is that it isn't like really jumping. It's more like cats with 9 lives.
Exactly. No, and that's the exciting part about it. I think if you're a true entrepreneur, that is the exciting thing about it. You've probably thought of 50 million. You had your one business that you're like, I'm going to do that. But you might have thought of a few that you're like, that actually would be good too. And then you'd be surprised at the one that actually works. Which one sticks, right? Like, which one sticks? And if you're excited and you really want to work for yourself and do that, you will get back up and try it again, regardless of how hard the fall was the first time. Just know that you can, and don't take it personal and let that define or scare you from doing it again.
Yeah, I think it was Mark Cuban who said the great thing about being an entrepreneur is you only have to be right once. You see so many of the great entrepreneurs that we all know and love and listen to have failed so many times in business.
Right.
And like you said, you might have this great idea that completely flops. You had so many other ideas, you have no idea that idea is the winner for you. And
exactly.
So it's just not giving up, continuing to push through that failure.
Exactly. Oh, that's exciting.
Love it. Okay. One more question for you. We talked about a piece of, or an aspect of business that you don't like when it comes to paperwork. What would you say that your favorite part of being a business owner is?
Of being a business owner?
Yeah.
I like having my own schedule. If I decide, you know what, next week I don't want to go to work, I don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to do that too, because then you're like, if I don't go to work, I make no money. But I do like that
You like
part,
the
that
freedom of
which you
choice.
have a freedom of choice,
Yeah.
and I can help people the way I want to help people. I don't have anybody telling me this is what our standard is. I make the standard, and I set the expectation for what my customer can expect from me, and not me having to go the other way around. So if I have a high level of customer service and I want my client to feel like they're the only person that I ever see on a day, that's how I want them to feel, and I can do that without being chastised because they have their goal or their dream that they're wanting me to do for them.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, Kara, thank you so much for being here
you.
today.
Yeah.
No, it was
We've
really
learned
fun.
a lot and have really enjoyed talking to you about just
Thank
business
you.
and especially the Weight Loss Boutique. As we close up here, we have a little game we're going to play with you.
Okay.
So how it's going to work is we've got a list of 20 questions for you.
Okay.
And you have a minute to answer as many of them as possible.
Okay.
It's going to be rapid fire. We're going to see how many you can get.
Oh gosh, I'm scared.
All right, you can start us off in 3, 2, 1.
Your dream vacation.
Anguilla,
First thing you'd buy if you won $1 million.
a house,
Your favorite hobby.
track,
If there was an Olympic competition for everyday activities, what activity would you have a good chance at winning a medal in?
ooh, folding clothes fast.
A song you've been jamming to lately.
Oh, Eric Roberson, anything from him, basically.
If you lived to be 100, would you rather have the mind or the body of your prime self?
Ooh, mind,
Your favorite holiday.
Valentine's,
Favorite ice cream flavor?
German chocolate cake,
Your favorite fictional character.
Shatara,
Favorite smell?
honeysuckle,
What's your nickname?
Crazy K,
Pet peeve?
open pizza boxes,
Favorite restaurant?
Ocean Prime.
Ooh, there we go. Hey, not bad. I think you got 13, so that's pretty good.
That's pretty
pretty high
good.
up there. What was your dream vacation? What did you say?
Anguilla.
Where's that at?
It is off the coast of St. Martin.
Yeah.
I love it there.
And you've been before?
Yeah, I actually got accepted into medical school. They have a medical school out there, and so I went there for 10 days to see it, but I just love it there. So I have to go back. I've been waiting.
That's worth going to medical school for.
Yeah.
4 years, right?
Just live on an island. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
No, but no one goes. So like I was on
Right.
the beach, no one was there.
Huh.
Just by myself, me and the dolphins. It was great.
Wow. I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah. No, it's a cool one of those places a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and Weight Loss Boutique?
You can come visit me, or you can go to my website, which is www.weightlossboutique.com, and then we're in the Queen Creek Palette Collective next to Goodwill.
Awesome. And then I know you have a little special offer for our listeners. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I'm offering 10% off any services. Just mention the podcast when you call, and we'll make sure that you get the discount.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Kara, thanks again so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us today. It's been a privilege.
Thank you. It's been really fun. It was
Yeah.
nice meeting you too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we'll catch you all next week. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Just a few things before we go. First off, just want to say a big thanks to our sponsor over at Shine Mobile Details. They're a locally owned auto detailing company that offers everything from interior details to ceramic coatings. Their mobile unit can come right to you, or you can go to their shop. Check them out on Yelp, Facebook, and Instagram at Shine Mobile Details, or call or text them at 480-529-3843 for a consultation or to book. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take a few seconds to rate and review and hit that subscribe button. It lets us know how we're doing and helps us grow so we can reach more locals, entrepreneurs, and help small businesses grow. Thanks, guys.